I have lived with the GU family for 7 years. Everyone in the GU family treated me well. Except for the young master of the GU family, Orion GU. He never gave me a single kind look. I carefully curried favor with him and his friends. Yet I accidentally overheard him say to his friends, "Don't get too close to Mabel Shia. She's a scheming girl who only wants to marry into a wealthy family and climb the social ladder." While he was abroad, I secretly got married to his best friend, Elias Shen. When he came back and said he wanted to marry me, I was already heavily pregnant. Orion GU's welcome banquet was held at the GU family's mid-mountain villa. I clutched the stem of my wine glass, standing in the shadow of the colonnade, trying to make myself as invisible as possible. Aunt GU had called me specially that morning, insisting I must attend. I had no reason to refuse. Lost in thought, I didn't notice Orion G break away from the crowd and walk straight toward me. A year abroad had softened some of his arrogance, replacing it with a quiet depth. "Mabel Shah." His gaze held a hint of scrutiny. "Welcome back, Brother Orion." I put on my usual polite smile, my tone as courteous and composed as ever. Old Master Ju stepped onto the stage leaning on his cane and made a big announcement. On the 18th of next month, Orion Ju would officially be engaged to Lila Liu, the only daughter of the Liu family. Thunderous applause erupted. I turned to him and smiled sincerely. "Congratulations to you and Miss Liu, Brother Orion." He didn't reply, just stared at me with a complicated expression. After a long moment, he suddenly said, "The marriage alliance with the Liu family was old Master Ju's idea. Lila Liu and I have an agreement. It's just an act, a mutually beneficial arrangement. We'll get divorced once the time is right." I froze, confused why he was explaining this to me. "Brother Orion," I chose my words carefully, "this is your personal business. You don't have to tell me." He frowned slightly, clearly not expecting this reaction. "Mabel Shia, I'm telling you I have no feelings for her. What I want most is Orion Ju." Lila Liu's cheerful voice cut in. She walked over gracefully and slipped her arm through his naturally. Her eyes fell on me, curious yet assessing, but her smile was flawless. "And who is this?" "Mabel Shia." Orion Ju's introduction was brief. "Oh, Miss Shia." Lila Liu's smile didn't falter, but a flicker of understanding crossed her eyes. She had definitely heard of me. I was somewhat infamous in Beijing's elite circles, the daughter of the Ju family's driver, a scheming gold digger. My father was the Ju family's driver. In my senior year of high school, old Master Ju was targeted by his rivals who tampered with his car. On the winding mountain road, the brakes failed. My father swerved the car so that his side hit the cliff, stopping the vehicle. He died instantly. At the funeral, my mother fainted several times from crying, begging the Ju family to give us a way to live. The Ju family valued both loyalty and reputation. In front of all the guests, old Master Ju promised with tears in his eyes, "Mabel Shia is part of the Ju family from now on." 3 months later, my mother took a generous compensation payment and remarried. Her new husband, who had never been married before, made it clear he didn't want a stepchild. And so I became the Ju family's adopted daughter. The Ju family treated me well. They provided me with the best of everything. Aunt Ju was kind, treating me like her own daughter. Clara Ju, the Ju family's daughter who was a year younger than me, would hug me and call me Sister Mabel. Only Orion Ju had looked at me with hostility from the day I moved in. He would roll his eyes when I greeted him. When I made pastries to please him, he threw them straight in the trash. Orion Ju looked down on me, convinced I was clinging to the Ju family to exploit my father's sacrifice for my own gain. And in a way, he was right. All I had left were my grandmother and uncles, who were determined to marry me off to an old bachelor in exchange for a bride price. If I hadn't clung to the Ju family, I wouldn't have been able to take the college entrance exam. Let alone go to university, I might not even have survived. The Ju family was my only lifeline to change my fate, and I had to hold on tight. I studied relentlessly, staying up late to solve practice problems, and became the top scorer in the city's college entrance exam that year, getting into a top university. To reward me, Aunt Ju gave me a custom-made evening gown, and told me to attend a charity banquet to broaden my horizons. Before I even reached the banquet hall door, I heard Orion G's friends teasing him. Orion, your child bride is really pretty. Lucky. You, young Master Jew, having a wife prepared for you at home, haha. I didn't dare linger, keeping my head down as I entered the banquet hall and sat in a corner. The room was filled with clinking glasses and elegantly dressed guests. Look, that's the Jew family's adopted daughter. A group of socialites gathered nearby, their voices just loud enough for me to hear. No matter how pretty she dresses, she can't hide her common roots. She's probably here to snare a rich husband. I heard her father was a driver. Tisk who would want a driver's daughter. I clutched my wine glass so tightly my knuckles turned white, forcing a smile to stay on my face. Orion Gu was standing nearby, staring at me with a dark, stormy expression. I went to the restroom, but he blocked my way in the corridor. Go home right now, he said coldly, his usual impatience clear in his voice. Don't come to events like this ever again. I looked up at him. He frowned, his tone disgusted. Still, not leaving? Do you really want to climb the social ladder and snare a rich husband? After that, I avoided him even more carefully. I lived in the dormitory for all 4 years of university, rarely going back to the Jew family home. There were many familiar faces at the welcome banquet, all friends of Orion Jew. Everyone came up to congratulate him and Lila Lu. Someone noticed me standing nearby, thought of Elias Shen, and asked casually, "Why isn't Elias Shen here today?" I was about to say he had an emergency meeting at the research institute when Orion G stepped between us. That guy Elias Shen is so unreliable. I told him about this 3 days ago, and he promised he'd come, but he bailed at the last minute. People in scientific research are always busy, that's just how it is, I explained awkwardly on Elias Shen's behalf. Orion Gu frowned and shot me a glare. I felt inexplicably guilty on Elias Shen's behalf. But he really did have an important meeting he couldn't miss today. He hadn't meant to skip it, so I offered to toast his friends in his place. After I'd toasted everyone, Orion Jew suddenly pulled me into the corridor, his face thunderous. Mabel. Xia, you never change, do you? His face turned completely black with anger. I was confused. What had I done wrong now? That second young master of the Zhao family is already married, he said sarcastically. Are you that desperate to climb the social ladder? I thought hard before remembering which of the group was the second young master of the Zhao family, the one who had come up to toast me just now. No, I'm already. Enough, Orion Jew cut me off. I know you're upset about my engagement to Lila, that's why you're acting like this. I'll explain everything later. Just stay away from them. With that, he hurried away. I laughed bitterly. Last year he hadn't said anything like that. It was Orion Gu's birthday, and he had booked out the entire Cloud Peak Club. I arrived late. In the private room, Orion Jew was the center of attention, his expression arrogant and wild. I was holding his gift, about to push the door open, when his drunken voice drifted out. Mabel Xia? Don't get too close to her. She's scheming, just like her mother. She's clinging to our family because of her father's sacrifice. She's nothing but a gold digger who wants to marry into wealth. Be careful, don't let her get close to you or she force you to marry her. Clara Jew whispered in my defense. Sister Mabel works really hard. She got into university on her own. Hard work? Orion Jew scoffed, cutting her off. A driver's daughter? Where would she be today without the Jew family? She thinks getting into a top university means she can fit into our circle? Clara, be smart. Stay away from her, or she use you as a stepping stone. The world went silent. I walked in quietly and placed my gift among the mountain of luxury presents, where it went completely unnoticed. Happy birthday, Brother Orion. I have work at the research institute, so I'll be leaving now. I tried to keep my voice steady. Orion Gu glanced up at me, seeming surprised I was there, then gave a cold HM and turned back to clink glasses with his friends. After that day, I knew I had to leave the Jew family. I chose the toughest major in university, material science, and after graduation, I joined the research institute my professor recommended. The salary wasn't high at first, but it was enough to rent an apartment. I wanted to move out, but old Master Jew was the first to object. Does the Jew family not have enough food for you? Renting an apartment outside is too hard. You're not going. Uncle and Aunt G, you also tried to persuade me. We have plenty of rooms at home. It's not safe for a young girl to live alone. When you find a reliable man and get married in style, Auntie will prepare your dowry for you. They truly cared about me. But their kindness was like a warm cocoon, trapping me. I had to earn my own way out, a reason that was legitimate and wouldn't embarrass the Juo family. Like falling in love and getting married. Not long after, the Gu family sent Orion Gu to Europe to develop new markets. Meanwhile, my professor introduced me to Elias Shen. We got married soon after. The welcome banquet ended. I got ready to leave. Elias Shen had just called me, saying he was almost here to pick me up. Mabel. Shia. Orion Ju's voice came from behind me. He had walked over without me noticing, leaning against the colonnade in the shadows, his expression unreadable. Brother. Orion, is there something else? He didn't speak, just pulled a small velvet box from the inner pocket of his suit and handed it to me. I saw this on the street in Switzerland, bought it on a whim, he said casually. I took it and opened it. Lying on the black velvet was a topaz necklace. The gem was cut into a delicate sunflower shape, shimmering in the light. Sunflowers. The only time I ever talked back to him was in my senior year of high school, when he threw away my sunflower potted plant. I cried so hard. He scoffed and said it was no big deal, it wasn't made of gold or jade, he'd buy me another one. Here, your replacement. Don't say I don't keep my promises, he said, looking at me with disgust. Humph. He'd broken countless promises, not just this one. I closed the box and smiled politely at him. It's beautiful. Thank you, Brother Orion. You shouldn't have gone to the trouble. Since it was compensation, I'd take it so he couldn't accuse me of exploiting flowers for favors again. He paused, then fell silent, just staring at me. Mabel, Orion. Elias Shen had arrived. He was still wearing his lab coat, and there were faint lines of tiredness around his eyes behind his gold-rimmed glasses. Dr. Shen, Orion Gu, walked quickly toward him and clapped him on the shoulder. Busy man. Too important to even make it to my welcome banquet. Elias Shen pushed up his glasses, apologetic smile on his face. We're at a critical stage of the project, I really couldn't get away. I'm sorry. Let me treat you all to dinner another day. Invite Lin and Dong and the rest. Orion Gu smiled and nodded. He looked Elias Shen up and down, sighing. Who would have thought? The third young master of the Shen family. Out of all US spoiled rich kids, you turned out the most impressive, getting into scientific research and working on rockets. He nodded approvingly. Not bad at all. That lab coat looks great on you. You must have girls falling all over you wherever you go. With such high standards, I wonder what kind of goddess you'll end up marrying. Elias Shen was exceptionally handsome. His looks were clean and elegant. Coupled with his status as the third young master of the Shen family, even though he deliberately kept a low profile, he had always been a target for many socialites in the circle. The most sensational incident was at his senior year graduation ceremony. The daughter of the Lin group, the recognized campus beauty, wore a wedding dress and publicly proposed to him in front of the entire school. It was a romantic and grand scene. Everyone said Miss Lin had chased him for 4 years, deeply and sincerely. Everyone thought Elias Shen would say yes. They were a perfect match, both in family background and looks. But Elias Shen refused. After that, he went abroad for further study, joined a research institute, and devoted himself entirely to his projects, almost disappearing from social circles. Then he came back to China, and through my professor's introduction, he met me. I had to admit, I really had hit the jackpot and climbed the social ladder. Seeing my husband being praised by Orion Ju, my old habit of currying favor kicked in. He's nothing compared to you, Brother Orion. You're handsome and capable. You've already established Ju's presence in Europe in just 1 year. Orion Gu coughed several times, a strange expression crossing his face. Ahem, I have something to take care of, double quotes. Orion G, you looked at me. You entertain Elias Shen for me first. I have something to talk to you about later. He turned back to Elias Shen. Elias, let's catch up properly another time. All right. Elias Shen nodded, then turned to me gently. Tired? Let's go home, home. Elias Shen went to the kitchen to heat up milk for me. I curled up on the sofa holding my cat, watching his busy back in the kitchen. And the unpleasantness stirred up by old memories faded away completely. Elias Shen's kindness was quiet and unobtrusive. He remembered all my likes and dislikes, and would take detours to buy my favorite steamed buns. When I was uncomfortable during my period, he would silently brew brown sugar ginger tea for me. When I ran into difficulties at work, he would guide me to think through problems and stay up late with me looking up research papers. There was no grand passion between us, only the slow, steady understanding and rapport that comes with time. Like two independent trees, our roots tangled quietly beneath the soil, and our branches supported each other through wind and rain. No earth-shattering moments, just things falling naturally into place. Orion Ju would never understand that happiness can never be gained by climbing the social ladder. I had no idea that Orion Ju really did have something important to tell me that night. He had waited outside my old bedroom at the GU family villa, the room I had lived in for 7 years, all night long. That night, Orion Ju paced back and forth in his bedroom countless times. He had practically worn a hole in the carpet by his feet. He had spent a whole year in Europe. He had deliberately avoided hearing any news about Mabel Shia. He thought time would cool that inexplicable restlessness he felt. But time only made certain memories sharper. The flash of hurt in her eyes when he coldly rejected her. The pitiful look on her face after being mocked at the banquet. And last year on his birthday, that calm, almost numb expression as she put down his gift and left. Those images played over and over in his mind, keeping him tossing and turning all night. Only he knew that he hadn't rushed back to China for the engagement. He had come back for the figure that had kept him awake for a year. And tonight, she had been so beautiful. His good-for-nothing friends had swarmed around her again, just like they always did. Even Elias Shen, who had always seemed above such worldly matters, had been drawn to her, looking at her with such warmth, tenderness, and affection. That look had pierced his eyes and stabbed his heart. Jealousy grew like poisonous vines, wrapping around him until he could barely breathe. He had made up his mind. He would go tell her that none of those other men were worth her time, that none of them had genuine feelings for her. But he was different. He was willing to lower himself just a little, to let her climb up to him. He would tell her right now. He liked her. He threw open his door and strode toward the room at the end of the corridor. The room Mabel Shia had lived in for 7 years. He knocked. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. Asleep? It couldn't be this early. Had she not come back yet after seeing Elias Shen off? That guy Elias Shen, could he actually have feelings for her? No, that couldn't be. Elias Shen had impossibly high standards. He had even rejected the Lin family's daughter. Why would he look twice at Mabel Shia? He leaned against the wall by the door, pulled out a cigarette, then stuffed it back in his pocket irritably, and waited. The maid, Aunt Wang, passed by and looked surprised. "Young master, are you looking for Miss Mabel? She's not staying here tonight." Orion Ju froze. Not staying here? Where is she? She probably went home. Miss Mabel only stays here 1 or 2 nights a month now. She lives at her own place most of the time. Aunt Wang replied naturally. Her own place? Orion Gu frowned. Yes, she had a job now. It was normal for her to rent an apartment outside, Orion Gu thought. "Give me the address," he said urgently. Aunt Wang gave him an address in an ordinary residential complex in the west of the city. The next day was Saturday. Orion Ju drove out early in the morning. He found the house number, a first-floor apartment with a small yard. Through the fence he could see the yard filled with flowers, blooming brightly. A fat orange cat lay lazily on a swing, sunning itself, and Mabel Shia was bending over, watering the flowers with a watering can. Sunlight fell on her. She was wearing simple loungewear, her hair tied loosely up, her side profile soft, a faint smile on her face. The scene was peaceful and beautiful. It was exactly how he had imagined she would look as Mrs. Gu. The doorbell rang just as I finished watering the last sunflower. I froze when I saw Orion Ju. What was he doing here? And holding a huge bouquet of sunflowers? Was he here to see Elias Shen? Elias had another meeting at the institute this morning. Orion Gu handed me the flowers. Thank you. I took them and invited him inside. After Elias Shen and I got married, we didn't live in the Shen family's old mansion. We had bought this 3-bedroom apartment with a yard on the first floor. It was old, but in a good location, close to both our workplaces. I poured him a glass of water. Sit down for a while. Elias has a meeting at the institute this morning. I'll ask him how much longer he'll be. Why don't you stay for lunch? He's an amazing cook. You're in for a real treat today. You really should try his food. I pulled out my phone as I spoke, ready to text Elias Shen, my tone completely natural. Orion Ju's hand holding the water glass froze midair. His expression froze as if someone had pressed pause, slowly solidifying from confusion to bewilderment, then to an expression of utter disbelief. What did you say? His voice was dry, as if forced out through gritted teeth. What do you mean? When Elias Shen comes back to cook. Yeah, I looked at him confusedly, thinking he was acting especially strange today. Who else? You know how bad I am at cooking. If Elias doesn't come back, we'll both be going hungry for lunch. Orion Gu said nothing, just stared at me, his eyes widening slowly, stormy emotions churning deep in his pupils. He looked me up and down several times as if he didn't recognize me, then suddenly turned his head to look at the yard. The swing, the fat cat, the garden full of flowers, and inside the house, the pairs of slippers, the matching mugs. You two are together? He spoke each word slowly and heavily, his voice trembling on the verge of breaking. Yeah. I grew even more confused, putting down my phone. Aren't you here to see my husband? Then why are you double quotes crash? The water glass slipped from his hand and shattered on the stone floor, sending water and shards of glass flying everywhere. Orion Ju stood up abruptly. His face was deathly pale, but his eyes were red and terrifying, like a trapped beast staring fixedly at me, his chest heaving violently. Your husband? His voice rose sharply, almost breaking. Mabel Shah. Say that again. Who is your husband? I stepped back in shock at his violent reaction, frowning. Brother Orion, what's wrong with you? Elias Shen and I are married. Of course he's my husband. You, married? Orion Ju suddenly burst out, laughing, his laughter growing louder and louder. But there was a savage mockery in that laughter. You actually married Elias Shen? Ha. He laughed for a long time, the red veins in his eyes growing more prominent as he stared at me. Mabel. Shia, I really underestimated you. He took a step toward me, his voice icy cold. I thought you just wanted to climb the social ladder and marry some decent family. I never imagined you'd have such a big appetite and such sharp eyes. Out of all the people around me, you picked Elias Shen. He spat out the name like poison. The third young master of the Shen family, good family background, good reputation, a brilliant future, truly the perfect catch. His gaze was like a knife scraping across my face inch by inch. Using the Ju family's name, scheming and plotting, and you finally succeeded? Mabel. Xia, you really never disappoint me. The last few words were almost a roar. 7 years. In his eyes, I would always be that calculating gold digger. Everything I did was to climb the social ladder. He didn't need to think. He had already convicted me instinctively, and he had even come all the way to my house to mock and humiliate me. What right did he have? A wave of anger that had been suppressed for 7 years suddenly surged to the top of my head. I took a slow, deep breath and let it out. Then I smiled. That's right. I looked into his shocked eyes and smiled even brighter. Elias Shen has a good family, a good character. He's perfect in every way. I do have sharp eyes and I know how to pick them. What about it? Orion Ju, who I marry, is my own business. You have no right to come into my house and tell me what to do. You are not welcome here. Please leave. I pointed to the gate and issued an ultimatum. Orion Gu stared at me fiercely, the madness and paranoia in his eyes gradually giving way to overwhelming absurdity and hurt. Yes, hurt. As if I were the heartless monster who had betrayed him. Mabel. Xia, his voice was hoarse. How could you be so cruel? I almost laughed in anger. Cruel? Orion Jew, have you lost your mind? What does my marriage have to do with you? What have I ever done to wrong you? You got married. You actually got married, he repeated, bloodshot eyes filling with tears. Then what about me? Huh? Mabel Shia, tell me, what the hell am I supposed to do? I was stunned by his roar. An absurd thought crossed my mind. But I dared not believe it, nor did I want to. You're engaged. I'm married. We're both living our own lives. What's wrong with that? I forced myself to stay calm. What do you mean it has nothing to do with you? He lunged forward and grabbed my wrist, his grip so tight it felt like he would crush my bones. I love you, Mabel Shia. I fucking love you. I came back this time just to tell you that I love you. He finally shouted it out. In the sunlight, his eyes were red and his face was contorted with emotion, like a gambler who had lost every last chip. But to me, his words sounded like the most absurd and vicious joke in the world. I stared at him for a full 10 seconds. Then I laughed, laughing until tears streamed down my face. You love me? I asked slowly, every word dripping with sarcasm. Orion Jew, did you just say you love me? Yes, he said firmly. I know I was wrong before. I shouldn't have treated you that way or said those terrible things. I'll change everything. Just come back to me, please. But we're getting engaged to Miss Lu next month, I reminded him coldly. He hurried to explain, I told you, Lila Lu and I are just putting on an act, ... So what? I cut him off, staring at him sharply. Whether your marriage to Miss Lu is real or fake, in the eyes of the law and everyone else, you are husband and wife. You want me to come back to you? As what? Your lover? Your kept woman? The dirty little secret in your marriage? The excitement on Orion Jew's face froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to tear away the pretense so bluntly. But he quickly added, I'll protect you. No one will dare say a word. Ha! I laughed bitterly. Orion Jew, you are so arrogant and self-righteous. You love me. Yet you think I'm too low class to be seen with you, that marrying me would make you lose face in front of your friends, don't you? So in your noble, charitable version of love, being your mistress is the greatest favor you can bestow upon me? I grew angrier with every word. Let me tell you something, Orion Jew, your love disgusts me. Anyone who wants it can have it. I, Mabel Shia, don't want it. Get out, now. Get out of my house this instant. I grabbed the broom leaning against the wall and pointed it at him. Mabel Shia, you. Get out. I refused to listen to another word, swinging the broom at him to chase him away. Yuanbao arched her back and hissed at him, surprisingly fierce. Orion Gu's face turned pale with rage, yet his eyes still held that wild, stubborn glint. Finally he turned and stormed out of the yard. I slammed the gate shut behind him. My heart was racing and my hands were still shaking. Yuanbao rubbed against me, meowing softly and nuzzling my hand. I hugged her, burying my face in her soft, warm fur, and took several deep breaths to calm the churning nausea and anger inside me. I thought Orion Jew would leave me alone once he found out I was married. Clearly I had underestimated his stubbornness. A few evenings later he showed up again. His face was dark, with heavy dark circles under his eyes. He pushed the gate open and walked in while I was hanging laundry. Did you see the news? His voice was hoarse. I put down the clothes hanger and frowned at him. What news? I called off the engagement with the Lu family. He stared at me, speaking slowly and deliberately. Everything has been taken care of. My heart skipped a beat. So what? What does that have to do with me? So he took a step forward, his voice urgent. Divorce Elias Shen. Right now. I'll marry you and you'll be the rightful Mrs. Jew. Everything Elias Shen can give you, I can give you more. I almost laughed in disbelief. Orion Jew, have you hit your head? I retorted sharply. Elias Shen and I are very happy together. Why would I get divorced? Just for that ridiculous title of Mrs. Jew? Isn't that what you've always wanted? His face turned livid. You fawned over me for years, didn't you? All because you wanted to marry me and stay in the GU family? I thought he must be mentally ill. I did want to stay in the Jew family, but not to marry you. I looked at him coldly. You're delusional. I added. I had no money for school. I wanted to stay in the GU family to finish my education. All your suspicion and hostility were completely unnecessary. Orion G snapped. What can Elias Shen give you? What future do you have with him? He's just the neglected third son of the Shen family. Can he make you untouchable in Beijing? I don't need to be untouchable. I cut him off sharply. Orion Ju, do you even understand? I don't want to climb some social ladder or be above everyone else. I want a home. A partner who respects me, loves me, and treats me as an equal. Elias Shen has given me that. And you, Orion G, have you ever shown me even a shred of respect? How have I not respected you? It was all a misunderstanding. He growled like a cat whose tail had been stepped on. I love you. I'm giving up everything to marry you. Isn't that enough? Is your love calling me a scheming gold digger in front of your friends? Orion Ju, your love is cheap and disgusting. His face turned red, then white with anger, and his eyes turned dark. Mabel, Xia, don't push me. There was a threat in his voice. What if Elias Shen finds out you only married him for the Shen family's wealth and status? Do you think he'll still want you? I trembled, staring at him in disbelief. I had thought he was just arrogant and conceited. I never imagined he could be so malicious. Why would my wife marry me for my poverty instead of my family's status? A cold voice came from outside the yard. Elias Shen was home. Elias Shen was home. The moment I saw him, all my pent-up hurt came flooding out. My eyes filled with tears and I almost cried. Don't get upset, think of the baby, Elias Shen helped me sit down, poured me a glass of warm water, and spoke softly to calm me. Then he turned to Orion Ju, his eyes colder than I had ever seen them. Is there anything wrong with my wife choosing me because she appreciates the comfortable life I can provide her? Elias Shen spoke slowly. I love her and want to marry her. Of course I want everything I have to be a reason for her to choose me. Why would I want her to love me for being poor and destitute? You! Orion Gu was speechless with rage. As for your accusations of her being a gold digger and a schemer, Elias Shen pushed up his glasses, his gaze sharp as a knife. I see a smart, clear-headed woman who knows how to fight for herself. A young girl with no one to rely on, fighting her way out of despair and seizing every opportunity to better herself isn't that far are more worthy of respect than a spoiled rich kid who lives off his ancestors' achievements and tramples on other people's dignity? With every word he spoke, Orion Gu's face grew more ashen. Finally, Elias Shen looked at him like he was a pathetic creature. Orion Ju, you were born into wealth and privilege. You will never understand the struggle of ordinary people to survive. That's why you can't see how wonderful she is, and why you don't deserve her. Now please leave my house. If I ever catch you harassing my wife again, I will make sure you understand exactly what it means to be Mrs. Shen. Orion Ju stood frozen in place, his body trembling slightly. He stared at my slightly rounded belly, then at Elias Shen's hand shielding me, his eyes dark with malice. Fine. Very well. Elias Shen, I will never forget that you stole my wife. With that threat, he stumbled out of the yard. Orion Gu had lost his mind. He began to insert himself into every part of my life. He harassed me with phone calls, getting a new number every time I blocked one. His flashy sports car was parked outside my office building every day, like a ghost that wouldn't leave. Rumors started spreading among my colleagues. I ignored them all. But when Elias Shen came to pick me up, he saw it. He said nothing, just squeezed my hand tightly. That night, I heard him on the phone in his study, his voice cold and hard. Orion Ju, enough is enough. If you harass Mabel again, our friendship is over. The phone call clearly had no effect. Orion Ju even started putting pressure on Elias Shen's research institute. Elias Shen used his own family connections to brush it off effortlessly. This only made him more frantic. He started waiting outside our alley late at night, the glowing red tip of his cigarette looking eerie in the darkness. I was already suffering from severe morning sickness, and his harassment left me with nightmares every night, and on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Elias Shen quietly installed more advanced security cameras around the yard. Then that weekend the conflict finally came to a head. Elias Shen and I were coming back from the supermarket. As soon as we reached our building, we saw Orion Ju leaning against his sports car, a pile of cigarette butts at his feet. He looked terrible, the red veins in his eyes so dark they looked like they were bleeding. Mabel. Shia. He walked over hoarsely, staring at my belly. We need to talk. Elias Shen stepped in front of me to protect me. Orion Ju, we have nothing to talk about. Just 5 minutes. Orion Ju roared like a trapped animal. Mabel. Shia. Let me say what I have to say, and I'll leave immediately. Looking at his deranged state, I nodded. Elias Shen stepped back a few paces, but his eyes never left us. I was wrong. Orion Ju's voice trembled as he spoke. I regret it. Divorce Elias Shen and make him give you to me. I'll give him all the Ju family's projects, all the profits, anything. As long as he leaves you. You're insane. I finally snapped, yanking my hand away from him forcefully. I am insane, he growled, veins bulging on his forehead. I've been insane since the day I found out you were married. Mabel. Shia. I love you. I've always loved you. Come back to me and I'll marry you. I'll treat you 1,000 times, 10,000 times better. Looking at the deranged man in front of me, I only felt disgust. You don't love me. You're just used to being on a pedestal. Back when I had to survive in the Ju family, I fawned over you and catered to your every whim carefully. When I stopped, your twisted ego couldn't handle the blow. You've only ever loved yourself. Elias Shen walked over quickly and pulled me into his arms. Let's go home, Mabel. Shia. Orion Ju called out hoarsely behind us. I'll wait for you. I'll wait forever. His voice was broken, filled with desperate resentment. I didn't look back. What I didn't expect was that Orion Ju would target the baby in my belly to force me to divorce. My belly grew bigger and bigger. Elias Shen rearranged his work schedule, turned down all business trips, and stayed with me as much as possible. It was old Master Jiu's 70th birthday. We hadn't planned to go, but Aunt Ju called personally, her voice earnest. She said the old man just wanted a lively celebration. I couldn't refuse, after all the years the Jiu family had raised me. Elias Shen squeezed my hand tightly. I'm here. The birthday banquet was held at the Jiu family's old mansion. It was a family dinner, no outsiders invited. Orion Ju was there too. He looked much more haggard. His eyes kept drifting to me, heavy and intense. I deliberately avoided his gaze, only speaking quietly to Elias Shen. During the meal, I reached for the freshly squeezed orange juice in front of me. Just as I brought it to my lips, don't drink it. Clara Gu rushed over suddenly and knocked the cup out of my hand. Crash! The cup shattered, orange juice splattering everywhere. The whole table fell silent. All laughter and conversation stopped abruptly. Clara! What are you doing? Aunt Jiu exclaimed, shocked and angry. Clara's face was deathly pale. She stared at the mess on the floor, then at me, and stammered, the orange juice. You can't drink it. There's something in it. What's in it? Old Master Jiu asked in a deep voice. I don't know. But it's definitely not good. Clara shook her head frantically, glancing quickly at Orion Ju, who was standing frozen not far away. Bastard. Old Master Jiu slammed his cane on the floor. Tampering with drinks at my birthday banquet. Call the police. Investigate this. No, don't call the police. Clara cried anxiously, looking at her grandparents and parents, then at me, who was now shielded behind Elias Shen. Finally she turned to Orion Ju, whose face was as white as a sheet. There was no hiding it anymore. It was brother. Clara closed her eyes, her voice breaking into tears. I saw him put something in the orange juice. I was afraid something would happen to Sister Mabel. The whole family stared at Orion Ju in disbelief. Only Elias Shen and I weren't surprised. Elias Shen pulled me completely behind him at once, his gaze sharp as a knife as he stared at Orion Ju. Call the police, he said firmly. No. I grabbed Elias Shen's arm. The Jiu family had raised me for 7 years. That kindness was real. If we called the police today, the Jiu family would lose all face, and Orion Jiu's future would be ruined. One last time. Consider it repaying the Jiu family for raising me. Elias Shen clenched his fist, veins popping on the back of his hand. In the end he didn't press the call button. Worthless creature, Old Master Ju roared, pointing his cane at Orion Ju. Kneel. Orion Gu didn't move. He glared at Clara, then slowly turned his gaze to me, his eyes wild. Kneel, Uncle Ju shouted sharply. Orion Ju finally knelt down. Aunt Ju broke down in tears. How could you? Mabel is your sister. The baby in her belly is your niece. Have you lost your mind? She's not my sister, Orion Ju screamed. I put the drug in there. I wanted to get rid of that baby. She has no right to carry another man's child. Aunt Ji trembled all over. Orion Gu lifted his head sharply, his neck stiff as he shouted, I never saw her as a sister. I love her. I met her first. We grew up together. Aunt Ji slapped him hard across the face. You love her? This is how you love her. Going around, calling her a gold digger and using such despicable means to hurt her. Orion Ju's cheek was red and swollen, but he stared stubbornly. Because I was angry, I was jealous. Everyone was looking at her. All those men wanted to date her. I couldn't stand it. I was driven crazy. I called her a gold digger to make those men stay away from her. I wanted her to belong only to me. He shouted until his voice was hoarse. I love her. I know I did wrong, but I couldn't bring myself to apologize. I always thought she was in our house. She couldn't run away. I could take my time. Who knew? After only a year away, she married Elias Shen. Why him? Aunt Ju pointed at him, trembling all over. You still don't understand. Because Elias Shen would never do what you did. Elias Shen only wants Mabel to be happy. Not like you. Hurting her, slandering her, even hurting her baby, all because of your ridiculous pride and possessiveness. Orion Ju, that's not love, that's selfishness. That's possession. You don't deserve to say you love her. Orion Ju stood frozen in place. The madness faded from his eyes, leaving only emptiness. Aunt Ji cried bitterly. Orion Ju, you've disappointed me so deeply. Old Master Ju turned slowly, his face exhausted. Enough. You can't stay in this family anymore. Go to the African branch and reflect on your actions. Clara is grown up now and she's just as capable as you. G Corporation doesn't need you. Elias Shen looked at me, then at the mess around us and the Ju family, who looked ashen. He took a deep breath and held me tightly. Let's go home. After the birthday banquet incident, Elias Shen and I returned to our peaceful life. Orion Ju was put on a plane to Africa that very night by Old Master Ju. My belly grew bigger day by day. Even Yuan Bao the cat seemed to know a new family member was coming. She became extra clingy, always lying at my feet and nuzzling my calves with her fluffy head. My pregnancy went smoothly. On a bright sunny morning, I gave birth to a baby girl. We named her Stella. Elias Shen held our daughter, his hands trembling. The man who handled precision instruments in the lab with flawless accuracy was now as clumsy as a little child. He leaned down and kissed my forehead, his eyes glistening with tears. You did so well, my love. We have a daughter now. Stella's arrival made our life even fuller and more complete. She had Elias Shen's eyes and my dimples. She loved to smile and rarely cried, a little angel adored by everyone who met her. In the yard, the sunflowers I had planted bloomed once again, golden and bright, always turning toward the sun. This story warns us. Arrogance and prejudice poison happiness. Belated love is cheaper than weeds. Blinded by Class P. Privilege. The male lead misunderstood the heroine as a gold digger for 7 years, insulting and hurting her recklessly. Only when she married a gentle, respectful scientist, and became pregnant, did he belatedly confess, even using extreme means to win her back. True love is never condescending charity or crazy possession, but equal respect and sincere care. The sober, independent heroine refused to dwell on past wrongs, chose someone who cherished her, and found happiness at last. It teaches us never to judge others with prejudice, nor wait until lost to learn to cherish.